Got a text this morning. I asked Barbara Featherston if the repairs have been complete with regard to the sewer issue we're having. Her response is not yet. I'm waiting on an update from the weekend work as well as any impacts from the severe weather yesterday. What can you inform us with regard to the sewer problems in Shreveport and how it was handled?
Aaron, I don't know at this point more than you do. As Councilwoman Fuller told you when she was on your show last week, we did not receive advance notice that the sewage was going to be released. That's something that I hope is handled differently in the future. But I know that as of now, the department's doing everything it can to address the problem.
DEQ told us Friday that the city did everything, by the book like they were supposed to do. But you feel like there could have been a little better communication then?
Look, I think that's right. There's always room for improvement. As a member of the council, I would like to know if sewage is going to be released in an area that's going to impact my constituents, and I hope that happens next time. But again, I think the city is doing what it can to address that problem.
You said impacted your constituents. Did you get a lot of phone calls, like at 2 a.m, like there's dead fish in my backyard, anything like that? What was the, I don't want to use the word outcry, how did your folks respond?
I received some contact social media through Facebook and also a couple of emails. I wouldn't say that I received an overwhelming outcry of phone calls, and thankfully none at 2 in the morning.
Let me ask you about something you've proposed for the city council, if you don't mind. And I don't know if it's being misrepresented. It has to do with cameras that are going to be, you're asking that cameras be required at bars and nightclubs. Is that accurate? Tell us what you're proposing.
The proposed ordinance on the agenda would require every business in the city that has an alcohol license that sells alcohol to have security cameras. I would think that businesses selling alcohol in Shreveport would want security cameras for their own safety. But having this requirement will give police an important tool to fight crime, and it will deter crime. So I hope the city council will give it serious consideration.
I would imagine the cost for, depending on the size of the establishment, would vary, but I can't imagine those are cheap. A couple of grand for, what's the cost of businesses here?
Well, I will say that I've already received some feedback from a local business owner, Grant Nichols, about the technical specifications in the proposed ordinance. The ordinance as written now indicates that businesses would have to have 4K resolution cameras. That's the standard. But I certainly am receptive to modifying that requirement to reduce the cost on businesses. I don't think that the cost to every business will be a couple of grand. I see systems that satisfy the requirements on Amazon.com, where I get everything else that comes to my house for in the range of $500. But I'm going to continue to work with members of the council and with the business community to make sure that we give the police this tool without imposing excessive burden on business owners.
Why just not why not just let owners decide whether or not they want cameras? I mean, if not having the cameras lessens their chance of getting their stuff back, then that's on them, right?
Well, it doesn't just impact business owners. Last night we had a shooting at a liquor store in which a patron was injured. I'm concerned about business owners and protecting their property, but I'm also concerned about the citizens of our city. And in my view, this is a reasonable regulation that will help us fight crime. I mean, look, the number one issue on the campaign trail for me was public safety. All I heard from people everywhere I went was we need to do something about crime. This is a modest requirement we can impose on businesses that will help SPD protect us.
Is the crime rate at the locations that you would require in your bill, is it markedly higher than other spots?
Anecdotally, I know that liquor stores and bars are places where crime happens. I don't have statistics showing that they are targeted more frequently than places that don't sell alcohol, but my sense is that trouble sometimes follows alcohol, and I think this would help address that problem.
Councilman John Nickelson, we had a postal carrier murdered in Shreveport this weekend. We've talked to the chief. We've talked to so many people about what is the answer. Do you have any unique ideas or things that you want to suggest to possibly change where Shreveport's going?
Well, look, let me just say first that I'm sickened by what happened to Mr. Williams. My heart goes out to his family. And I just don't it's hard to get your mind around a grandfather being murdered in the middle of the day just doing his job. in our community, and so I'm sick that happened. We're not going to be able to commit every crime, but I will tell you one thing I've done this weekend. I went back and looked at the accused shooter's criminal history, and I see in the records of the Shreveport City Court and Caddo District Court and the records that Sheriff Prater maintains on his website that over the past 14 years or so, that accused shooter has had more than 25 charges of some kind for criminal violations, some of them minor, some of them serious. But he has been in that revolving door of defendants who commit crimes and are punished very leniently and then are right back out the door to commit more crimes. And in particular, in 2011, he was charged with possessing illegal drugs and a gun at the same time, which is a federal felony and a felony under state law, which can carry a multi-year prison sentence. He wasn't convicted of the gun. Instead, he was allowed to plead guilty to simple possession of marijuana, and he got a fine and was on his way. If we're going to change this crime situation in this city, every public official has to commit to a criminal justice system that appropriately punishes dangerous criminals. Felons found in possession of weapons need to go to prison. People who possess illegal drugs and a gun need to go to prison. And we need to have a one-strike policy for violent criminals. If we don't do that, if we don't convict and send to prison people who are endangering our citizens, it doesn't matter how efficient the police are at arresting people. We're going to have more of the same. So that's really, in that particular situation, my concern is that defendant, if he had been punished more appropriately, might not have committed the crime he committed at the weekend.
John, one more jab for you. Workforce Commission out with its new unemployment report for May, showing the state's in good shape, 4.4%. But when you look at the report, it says things are not all rosy. Shreveport, as a metro area, is performing the worst, losing 2,700 jobs from last year. The only city losing more than 1,000, and we've lost 2,700. What's going so wrong here, and how do we fix it?
I don't know the answer to that, other than that people are leaving the city because they perceive a lack of economic opportunity, and because they're concerned about crime. I think that's driving people to leave the city. I think they look at Bossier and see more opportunity. They look at DeSoto Parish and think that's a better option, and they're leaving for Texas. If we don't keep people safe, and if we don't make this an attractive place for the investment of capital, things are not going to change around here.